Gambling is what many people think the banks have been doing over the past decades, playing with our money for their profit, eventually triggering the financial crisis. It seems ironic that gambling, of all things, is now expected to remedy the problem, at least in one debt-stricken town of Spain. Well, more on that in just a moment, but first a warm welcome to a new edition of DW's Made in Germany. I'm Monica Jones. Here's what's coming up. Eurovegas, a Spanish town's proposal to gamble its way out of the debt crisis. Click and buy, designers try to attract more online shoppers. And time to muscle up, delivery companies thrive as internet purchases increase. All right, but first to commodities, which are big business. After all, the world's economies rely on oil, ore and gas. As these raw materials are becoming scarce, there is a growing need for specialists who know how to best work in these sectors. There's one university which lays the foundation for this expertise. It even has its own mine, and students are sent down 230 meters below ground to study. Now, this university is located in Freiberg, a small city in Germany's Erzgebirge region. The mining industry has left its mark on the area for more than 800 years. More recently, Freiberg's University of Mining and Technology has helped transform the city into a center for high-tech companies, including world leaders in semiconductor and solar technology. Well, to learn more, let's go underground.
Anyone studying in Freiberg ends up in the pits.
This is where we mine.
This is a seminar 150 meters below the surface of the ground.
This is the vein. And here you can really see it.
Discoveries of rich deposits of silver more than 800 years ago made Freiberg famous.
You can touch it. It's really very crumbly and greasy.
Today, the mine's tunnels are used for research purposes. The pit belongs to the university.
Close your ears. It's going to get really loud.
These seminars are unique in Europe. They aim to give future geologists, mining students and surveyors a feel for what it might be like on the job.
It's yet to scare anyone off. This is more about fascination with being below ground and being able to do an internship. The fact that we have this opportunity was fascinating for me too when I started studying here.
High above the pit is an old shaft tower. It still stands high over the small town in southeastern Germany's Ore Mountains, the Erzgebirge. The Academy's main building is just around the corner from the historic square. Known today as the University of Resources, it looks at technology in the post-petroleum world. Maybe mixing brown coal with gases is an option. The scientists from the Mining Academy are working on a very special reactor they call Kivon to find alternatives to oil.
We can produce wax, gasoline, methanol and other chemical products that are synthesized from petroleum at the moment. We've got a substitute for all these products in the future that can only benefit the economy.
Freiberg has long profited economically because the university is there. High-tech firms have taken over old industrial areas. One is Deutsche Solar AG. Small and medium-sized companies are connected to the Mining Academy as well. One example is the company Serion. It makes high-tech, high-temperature ovens. The company's founder developed it when he was getting his PhD in Freiberg. They generate heat with temperatures over 2,000 degrees Celsius. Uwe Lose sells the ovens on 4 continents. All are specially made. This one is headed for Siberia.
The academy and companies here in Freiberg have turned this town into a center for making new materials. Metals, ceramics and semiconducting materials can be made here, and it's home to experts in the field.
Down in the mine, the shift's over for today. Although being down in the pit is interesting, even mining doctoral students like Tony from Indonesia are happy when they get back to the surface in one piece. It's time to take off the helmets and rubber boots and get back to the books.
The Spanish economy is in deep recession. The country's budget deficit keeps growing despite all those harsh austerity measures implemented by the government to rein in spending. Well, in such a hopeless environment, any kind of foreign investment is more than welcome. Gambling billionaire Sheldon Adelson has now confirmed he will build a Las Vegas-style casino strip on the outskirts of the Spanish capital, Madrid. Casino giant Sands Corp has chosen Alcorcón for a multi-billion-dollar gambling resort project dubbed Euro Vegas. Now, while the deal may bring thousands of jobs to a country with the highest unemployment in the Eurozone, it has provoked outrage among some. Critics say mega projects like this one are partly responsible for the country's current debt problems.
They say they've suffered the biggest losses. Public sector workers protest against salary cuts and other austerity measures. This central Spanish city is broke. Alcorcón's debt amounts to more than 600 million euros. And for debt-ravaged Spain, that's a colossal figure. The imposing new local government offices are a prime example of the city's exploded property bubble. It reflects the very worst of Spain's building boom and bust. Alcorcón's mayor doesn't appear discouraged, though. He's not going to worry about a few million when potential billions are to be made. Europe's biggest casino is to be built here. But has Alcorcón really struck gold with the project? According to some, crisis or no crisis, now is the time to get back to planning and building.
At the moment, we estimate that some 20,000 jobs will be created during the first phase of the project. That shows the potential of this investment. Once the complex is fully up and running, that number should multiply by 10.
For the city, it seems like a gift from heaven. The whole deal is set to be worth 17 billion euros. Six casinos, 12 hotels, a theatre and golf courses are just some of the projects planned for this site, all modelled after Las Vegas. On the horizon, the towers of the Spanish banks, which lost out on their own big gambles. Is this simply a case of better luck next time? Here are the party poopers. These people are protesting against the project. Talk of 200,000 new jobs is no more than bluff, they say. Ana Sanz is an architect, but this is not a project she supports. She's campaigning against it and trying to convince others to see it from her point of view.
There are millions of empty apartments in Spain and countless building projects that haven't come to fruition. It's totally pointless to build yet more. We should focus on finding uses for the buildings we already have.
For other opponents to the casino, a new cultural center in Alcorcón is one more failed building project. More than 100 million euros worth of taxpayers' money were pumped into the project. Now it's been abandoned. Sanz doesn't accept the mayor's claim that the Euro Vegas project is being entirely funded by private investors.
Right now, taxpayers are bailing out the banks. Assuming that the financing for Euro Vegas is coming from Spanish banks, we're all indirectly investors of the project. On top of that, you have the costs of building and of compulsory purchase. This land is privately owned.
Just a stone's throw away from Euro Vegas, the raw material for the project. Jose Antonio has tons of bricks stored here. And it's no surprise. The building industry in Alcorcón has been at a standstill for a long time. He sells his cement at bargain prices now.
Of course it would be great if the project goes ahead. We have so much unemployment here, we're desperate for jobs. The casino would finally inject life back into the community.
But many have their doubts about whether gaming is really the city's way out of the crisis. Pensioners here might like playing the odd game or two, but not with real money. They prefer to leave the big bets to the politicians and investors in Spain.
Well, who would have thought that German consumers would play a part in the country's economic resilience during these days of Eurozone troubles? Normally known to be cautious spenders, Germans seem to have discovered the fun of shopping, especially online. From DVDs and books to all kinds of consumer electronics, as well as holiday trips and even clothes. Everything you can wish for, only a mouse click away. And that's why more and more fashion companies and designers are now responding to the demand, like Berlin designer Karl Tillesen. Now, for him, e-commerce has become a second foothold alongside his traditional business. Well, it's time to go out on a shopping spree, online, of course.
Amelie Richter is a student and a passionate online shopper.
I usually buy H&M online or cheaper clothes. Or I order things that you can't get otherwise, like this, which comes from a British online store. I also like to order from the US because they have styles that you can't find in Germany.
She also loves shoes.
And then, of course, some things come from China. They're much cheaper than here in Germany.
Products from around the world are delivered to her door at the click of a button. It's an attractive way to shop.
I know people who only shop online because they're so busy with work that they don't have time to shop on the weekend or during the week. They buy a lot online.
This is exactly the market that designer Karl Tillesen hopes to reach with his exclusive Berlin fashion collection. His clothes are sold around the world, and now they're available on the web.
It's a great way to get new customers that you wouldn't be able to reach with a normal shop. You can also reach countries that you didn't previously have access to.
But doing business online has a downside for the designer. All his products used to be black, but now he produces them in different colours to make them stand out more on the internet. Karl takes preliminary snapshots of his clothes on his phone to see how they will come across on the website.
Before, clothes had to look good on the hanger. Now they have to be photogenic. They have to look good on the web, in photos and in the press, so that they'll sell.
Every 10th fashion store in Germany now has its own online shop. Karl's main store is in Berlin's central district, Mitte. It's called Firma. His employees look after the shop's customers, but that's not their only responsibility. They also help develop Firma's online business, working with wholesalers from Asia and the US.
The challenge is building up the e-commerce while phasing out the conventional business a little. We don't want to incur double costs, but rather foster compatibility between the actual shop and the online business.
Everything is under control in the stockroom. Not all of these clothes are sold on the web. Karl thinks there are certain items that can only be sold in store. Customers have to feel them and try them on. The company's newly designed website is nearly ready to go. But first, Carl brainstorms with a web designer. He hopes the site will help him promote his business and make his brand better known. But he's careful not to get too carried away.
I know examples of people who really took it too far. They believed in it, invested too much, and underestimated the maintenance needed. Or they hired 3 people to take care of it straight away and couldn't make enough profit to justify the investment.
Carl's fashion is still a little out of Amelie's price range, but in a few years she may become one of his regular customers.
So with the Eurozone in crisis, e-commerce is booming. Interesting. For more, we're joined by Ernst Kruger of Market Research Institute TNS Infratest. Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Well, what have you been buying online recently?
Oh, my last stuff I bought online was about my travel, my holidays, about hotel, my flight, train, everything's booked by online.
I think that's what most people do.
I don't need any travel agency anymore.
Okay. Poor travel agents, of course, you know, they lose out on business, which actually is an interesting question. How can travel agencies, ordinary, conventional retailers, compete with online business?
I think it's not a question of competition. It's in how to combine the things. Because we talk about what will be the next thing in future. You're absolutely right. E-commerce is booming, and the growth from revenue streams in the whole retail area comes from online purchase. So the question will be how this will end in a couple of years. And I think about, if you think about behaviors like consumers, what they want to have, it's a question of combination. And we talk about multi-channel strategies. And so it's important for the non-online, non-e-commerce companies or retailers actually to define a strategy how to combine their business with online or with e-commerce. And that must be a very important thing in terms of defining a strategy. And that can be different from category to
And it depends on the product, I presume.
Exactly.
So you're not saying that e-commerce and online shopping is the ultimate future?
No.
Because I was already worried about less computer-savvy people. My mother, for example, has never used a computer. She would not be able to go shopping anymore.
For sure, you're right. You have a specific target groups thinking about your or my mom. She's never been able to use a computer or any internet or e-commerce platform. So I think there will still be a big piece for target groups that are purchasing and buying things offline instead of online. But online is increasing. There are new options and combining things. Think about how can brands combine, for example, social media activities, Facebook, and linkage with their e-commerce activities. And then
what about security? Data security
No,
online.
don't talk about security.
Oh, when you mentioned Facebook and stuff.
No, you're right. You're right on the one hand, but you're also wrong. I think the security thing and the problems you mentioned we have in mind actually is it really a small incident. We're talking about maybe in 0.5% of problems, and for sure there are certain companies who have to think about some guidance, some rules, and to make it more safe and more secure in the future. Okay. But it's not the thing that will drive or will not drive the future.
The future is online, Ernst Kruger.
The future is definitely online, yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, now it's your turn. We'd like to know about your experience with online shopping. Here's our question of the week. What do you buy online? Tell us. And you can do so by clicking onto the following website. That's dw.de/English/Made in Germany, all one word. Then simply fill out the online questionnaire and you'll automatically qualify for our next draw. With a bit of luck, you could win one of these DVDs with our best reports on German family businesses. We look forward to hearing from you. Last week, we wanted to know what sort of business would you like to set up? Leonid Baltsun wrote to us from Ukraine, and he believes that a children's summer camp in Bulgaria with yoga on the beach is the best option. He says that any business that combines a love for children, health and the environment would be successful. Well, that sounds good to me. Thanks, Leonid, for sharing your views with us. Right then, the job of parcel delivery men and women is changing. These days, they handle just about anything and everything, from rubbish bins to car accessories. And the reason? Well, you've heard it just a minute ago. E-commerce or online shopping is booming. We join a busy delivery man doing his rounds in Berlin.
The warehouse is alive with the sound of beeping, but Lars Richter doesn't even notice it as he sorts through people's online orders. He delivers hundreds of packages every day. We ask him if he himself likes to order things online.
Sometimes, yes, but I prefer to go and buy dog food and things.
Lars takes a look at what his colleagues have to deal with. Garbage cans. They're awkward, but they don't weigh much. The same goes for car bumpers. It seems there's nothing people won't buy online. Lars has been permanently employed as a mail carrier for 10 years. Packages are his business.
You can have 240 packages and be back by 3, or have 120 and have to drive around until 6.
The shipments are delivered as they come in. Today there are at least 200. It's just turned 9 o'clock and Lars has to get a move on. He tries to make his way through Berlin and immediately is stuck in traffic. He knows there's no point in getting worked up. But when he arrives, there's little space, and so he double parks. Lars has had to develop some coping mechanisms. He's got a thick skin. The job requires patience and strength.
10-12 Kilo.
Just doing his job counts as a workout. The third rule, know your customers. Not every package makes it. Some customers are still waiting for their goods. But he tries to maintain good relations with his customers.
I like to be friendly with our clients. After all, when you're there every day, at some point, you get to know the faces behind the names.
He's been delayed by half an hour, but he can't let it get to him. Sometimes he mutters to himself.
Cyclists, my best friends. They all think they can do what they want.
Government offices in central Berlin are a blessing for Lars. He can get rid of lots at once. But some customers also give up their packages to him. He has a good rapport with the police. They turn a blind eye to his unconventional parking. But the work doesn't get easier.
I worked it out. If I pick up every package 2 times a day, I'm lifting between 3 and 4.5 tons every day. But I enjoy it. It's all in an attitude. There are mail carriers who go around with a sour face, and they're not motivated to work.
Lars doesn't want to see himself as a victim of circumstance.
I have another option.
Lars doesn't want to take any packages back with him. He leaves this one at the hairdresser's next door, where they know who he is.
They accept everything.
And we've gotten a few customers that way. Some give us bars of chocolate because we're so nice.
Another friendly neighbor takes care of a package, which means he can get rid of all of his packages today. He's only worked an hour overtime, and he'll make up for that later.
And that's it for now. From me, Monica Jones, and the team, thanks for joining us, and see you again soon.